Right. So these options basically allow you to define your own logic and automate things, or customize things in the application, right? So if you want to send an email, or if you want to kind of create control and approval process, or if you want to validate the data before it is created, or you want to do an automated calculation, these things can help, right? So remember, we initially we talked about MVC, model view controller, right? And we talked about customizing two parts, uh, the model and view. Model is basically the database, so we now know how to customize the database, creating objects, fields, everything. We have seen that. We've also talked a little about customizing views by adding a few tabs and apps, things like that, right? Now we are actually able to customize our logics also. So this approval processes allow you to customize or control your logics as well, right? So now you have these logics also being controlled from here. There are more ways of controlling the logics. There are more ways of customizing the logics, and for that we need to write a bit of programs. So something which we'll get into a little later. Not getting into that right now. Okay, coming into the next topic, reports. Now, reports is a crucial section for any CRM. Basically, when a company is storing the data, one is definitely they want to track the data. One use of data is definitely that it helps you track information whenever you want, whatever information you want. Second use of data is that you can do some sort of analysis on the data. You can actually run report, or you can actually do some sort of analytics on the data. All right. So that's what your reports in Salesforce will help you do. So we saw that we are storing data for everything in Salesforce: account, campaigns, leads, opportunities, contacts. Now, a lot of times you will need to do some sort of reporting or some sort of analysis on that data, right? And Salesforce gives you the ability to generate reports, right? Now, why are we supposed to look into the reports part, or why do we need to have some sort of understanding on the reports? Because as an administrator or a developer, you will have a good understanding about Salesforce system, right? You understand the backend structure, you understand the database. So sometimes it is expected that you can generate some reports for them, which can be, which can help them do the analysis. So our job is not to do analysis. Our job is just to fetch the data and give it to the team, right? So as a Salesforce administrator, you're not supposed to do or draw inferences out of the data or out of the report which is pulled. Our job is primarily to pull the report and give it to the stakeholders. The stakeholder has to decide what does he want to conclude from that particular data. So that's not our scope. The scope for us is basically pulling out the data. All right. So all that we need to do is we just need to understand the requirement for a report and pull the report. That's it. Okay. So there are a few things that we need to understand before we can actually create a report. First thing that you have to understand is which object are we talking about. So if I ask you to generate a report, first thing that you have to figure out which object report I'm talking about. Am I talking about a report on account, or I'm talking about a report on opportunity, or I'm talking about a report on you know, contact or leads, or which object I'm talking about. So that's your first thing. That's the first question that you should ask yourself. Which object you want to pull a report for. Second, which fields are required in the report. Let's say I ask you to create a report on account. Then the next question is, what all fields do I need in that account report? Do I need all the account fields? Do I just need the account name and industry and the phone number, or what all fields you need? That's the second thing. Point three, what filters you have to apply on that particular report? What all filters are to be applied? Filters means what condition criteria, the records which meet a certain criteria. For example, I say create a report for accounts from Canada. So you can actually put a criteria that only records which belong from Canada, they should be included in the report, right? So first question is which object, second is which all fields, third is what filters need to be applied, fourth is output format. Okay, so what should be the output format? So format is something which we will talk while we start creating the book. Okay. And finally, once you are decided on all these things, finally you have to take a call on what do you want to do with the report. Okay. So these four things will help you create your report the way you want. Question number five is finally once your report is ready, what do you want to do? Do you want to just save the report? Do you want to export it into an Excel spreadsheet and give it to someone? Do you want to schedule it? So we have those options available. So we'll talk about that. Right. So whenever you have a reporting requirement, whenever someone comes to you and says that okay, I need a report, all that you have to do is you just have to have clarity on these five questions. Which object, which fields, what filters, what is the output format, and what do I need to do with the report. That's it. Apart from this, there is nothing else that you need to look into. Okay, so every time you start breaking your reporting requirement into these five small questions, you will see that things have become very easy for you, right? Then you don't get confused with the report, no matter how complex the requirement is. Okay, so everything which is possible, if you try to break it into these, okay, you should be able to do it. Right. So now let's go ahead and see where do we create a report in Salesforce. Okay, so for creating report, first thing that you have to do is to go to, first thing that you have to do is you just have to go to setup. Okay, no, sorry, not to setup. You just have to click on the reports tab. Sorry, you just need to click on the reports tab, and from there you should click on new report. Okay, so you just need to go and click on the reports tab, then click on the new report. Now here it says select a report type. This is where you are basically going to choose the object. Okay, decide on which object you want to create the report: accounts, contacts, opportunities, customers, leads, campaigns, activities. So let's say I want to do a report on accounts, so I'll just select accounts here, click on create. Okay, the moment you click on create, you will be taken to this particular screen. This is called the report builder screen. Now this is where you have to build the report, right? On the left hand side, if you see all the fields are listed, these are the fields from the object that you have selected. So in this case, it's going to be an account. You have selected account, so all the account fields are listed. As I said, you'll have to pick the fields that you need. You have the option of putting filters here. So this is the area where you will be putting the filters and the conditions. And this is your preview section. This is where you will get to see the preview of the report, how your report is going to look. Right? By default, if you see there is a sample report which is already there with some fields, account owner, name, type, rating, By default it's there. You can always click on remove all columns and remove these fields. No problem with that. So we have removed all the columns and these fields have got removed. Now we can just go ahead and start bringing our own fields. Let's say I need the account name. Just drag and bring it here. That's it. Nothing else. Type. I need industry. So you have to decide which all fields you need, or you have to ask the stakeholder what all fields he needs for the report. I need, let's say, employees. So whatever fields are required, you just drag and bring them. Revenue has to be there. Okay. So you got all the fields that you require. Now you have the option of putting the filters, right? Basically, you don't need a report on all the data. You need a report on data which meets certain criteria. So the criteria can be written here. So there is a date field filter which is there by default, and apart from that, you can add more filters. Okay. So currently, the date field says the records which were created from 9th March and later than that. So I'll make it all time. Okay. So it starts showing me records here. See, these are all the accounts that I have. If I just want to put a filter here, I can add one more filter. Let's say I just want records which meet some criteria. Only the records where type is equals customer direct. Click on OK. See, so we have successfully added a filter. Now it will only show me the records where the type is customer direct. Same way you can actually change the filter. You can put one more filter. You want to put a filter on industry also. So only the records where industry is equals energy. Click on OK. Right. So now I have put two filters here. Type is customer direct and industry is energy. Right. So when you have more than two filter, more than one filter basically, when you have two or more than two, you have an option of writing the logic also. What is logic? This part. Currently, what is the logic? The logic is only the records which meet this plus this condition. So only the records where both the criteria are met, those records can be shown. Right? What if I want to show all the records which meet at least one of the criteria? Then instead of and, I should put an or logic here. That either this or this condition is met, show me those records. So in that case, you should just go and add filter logic. Okay, currently it's 1 and 2. You have to make it 1 or 2. That's it. See, now it starts showing you records where even if one of the condition is met, that records will be shown. Correct. So if you have multiple filter criteria, you can add filter logics to control what is the condition between, or what is the logic between those conditions, and or logic. Right. Okay. So let me just remove this filter logics and everything. Now coming to the format. So we have already seen how to select an object for the report. So if you get a reporting requirement, let's say I tell you that what I want to have a report on all the opportunities from education industry. So now you know how to do that. You know how to pick the object, you know how to pick the fields, and then how to apply the filters on that. Right. So that is something which can be done. So these three things we understand. Now coming to the format part. There are four different formats of reports that we have in Salesforce. One is the normal tabular report, tabular format. Second is a summary format. Third is a matrix format. Fourth is a join format. Okay, so these four formats we have here for reporting: tabular, summary, matrix, and join. Tabular is the normal table kind of a format. This is a tabular format, the one that you see. This is a tabular format, normal tabular format. Now, what is a summary format? Summary format is basically summarizing the data based on some field. Now, here all the records are being displayed, right? All the accounts are being displayed. Currently, I just have few accounts, right? How many do I have? 16 records. So I can see 16 records. But just think of a situation if your report is actually fetching some 2000 records. That can be a situation. After putting the filter, you see that there are 2000 records which are being written. Now, how will you show 2000 records in a report? And what will the person who is looking into the report understand from that 2000 rows of data? Right? In that case, it becomes important for you to summarize the data. So instead of displaying individual records, summarize the information, segregate the information into different categories, and do the summations or summaries based on categories. Okay. So for example, in this case, I can summarize it based on the type or industry. Okay, so sometimes the requirement is okay. I don't want to see how many employees are there in a company, but I just want to understand for each type how many employees I have and what is the total revenue. And for each industry, how many employees I have and what is the total revenue. Right? That's basically summarizing the information. So for summary format, what you have to do, you just have to go and change the tabular format to summary format. In the report preview, here you have the option, change it to the summary format. The moment you change it to summary format, you will see a drop zone here. You see this? You have to choose the field which you want to use for summarizing. In this case, let's say I want to use the type for summarizing. So I'll drag and drop the type field here. Okay. Now if you see, it has. Okay. Now if you see, it has created different categories. So first category is where type is in blank, 5 records, where type is customer direct, 7 records, where type is customer channel, 4 records. All right. Now, what field you want to summarize? You want to summarize using the type field, that's fine. But which field you want to summarize? I want to summarize the employees. So just go to the employee field, click on this drop down here and say summarize this field. Want to do the sum, click on apply. You want to summarize annual revenue also, just click on this field, go to summarize this field, sum, apply. Right? Okay. Now if you see, along with the individual records, you have a summary also. So for customer direct, there are 7 records and total of employees for all these 7 records is this, and total revenue is this. All right. Now all that you have to do is, I don't want to see the detailed records. I just want to see the summary. So just go to show and remove the details. You can also remove the drop zone. See, this is your summary of the entire report. So when you have too many records coming into a report, which is a very common scenario, most of the times you will have too many records in a report. Then normally that tabular report does not make much of a sense. Okay, summaries actually make sense. For example, if if you are a company, you are selling across globe, across let's say 5, 6 different countries in the world, and you are asked to pull a report. If you try to show individual sales in the report, it's going to be very difficult. You might have sold 50,000 units or 50,000 invoices you might have in the last 1 month. Okay, so showing 50,000 in a report is basically something very difficult, and the person who sees will not understand anything. So there, what you can do is you can actually do summary based on countries, that okay, in which country how much did we sell. You can actually do a summary based on the product line, which product how much quantity it was sold. You can actually do a summary based on industry, that to which industry we sold maximum, that sort of thing. Got it? So that is, you can actually make your report more useful. Okay. So this is how your summary format works. Okay. We have seen tabular and the summary format. Now coming to the matrix format. Sometimes what happens in summary format, what we are doing, we are actually summarizing the information based on one field. Okay, let's say type or something, and we are creating a summary like this. Okay, sometimes you will have a requirement to do a report where you need to summarize the data based on two different fields. Instead of one field, you want to summarize based on two different fields. Okay, so let's say you want to summarize by country and by product line. Okay, one is a report, for example, you just want to use it by country. So if I'm talking about you want to do a sales report and you want to summarize based on the countries, which country, how much you sold. So that's a summary report. Fine. But now if I ask you that which country, which product, how much did you sell? Then what you have to do? You have to use this kind of a matrix. So your countries should be listed here. Okay, let's say if you're selling to 5 different countries, your countries should be listed here like this. And if your products should be listed here. Let's say you have 5 different products that you sell. Your products should be listed here. This is a matrix report. Okay. So for this country, how many quantities of this product were sold should come here. This country, this product, how much sold will come here. That's a matrix report. Okay. It's slightly one step ahead of the summary report. Summary report is summarized based on one field, matrix is based on two fields. Okay. So how do we do a matrix report? In this case, I can use type and industry. I've already summarized the data using type. I use another field, industry, also to summarize. Okay. So just need to change the format from summary format to matrix. Okay. The moment you change it to matrix format, you will see that drop zone has now appeared twice. Earlier it was only once. Now it is horizontally as well as vertical. Drop zones are available, right? So this side I have taken care of, or what I can do is I can put it this side, type this side, and I will bring in industry on this side, vertical. Just drag and drop the industry here. That's it. Done. Just go to show and remove the drop zones. You can remove the record count also. Right. See. Now by industry and type you have the breakup. For apparel industry, how many employees we have for customer direct, and what is the revenue for customer direct, and what is the revenue for customer channel. So complete breakup is there, right? So now this is a matrix report. As I said, you can put one field on the vertical axis, one field on the horizontal axis, and then you can do the summary. Okay, the intersection of those both two fields will be displayed. So this industry, this type, how much revenue, so something available here, right? And if you just want to get the total of apparel industry, that should be available here. The same way, if you want to get a total of customer channel, that should be available here. So this gives you a very detailed report in case you are trying to summarize the information using two different fields. Okay. So that's about the metrics format. Okay, I'll come to the joint format a little later. So now you have decided on format also. That okay, fine. My final output is going to be on in the summary format or metrics format or the tabular format. And once you've decided on the format, the fifth thing that we have to do is what do we want to do with the report? You have successfully created the report, whatever report you needed, the way you wanted to display it, you have successfully created the report. Okay. Now, once you've created the report, you have to do something with this report. What do you want to do with this report? So there are a few options which are available with you. What Salesforce allows you. Salesforce will allow you to save the report. That's the easiest thing, simplest thing. Save report so that you can use it later on. Okay, or you can save it for other people who can actually come and access that report, because someone who's a sales team member might not be aware of how to create a report here. So you can create a report and save it. Now the sales team member can always come and preview this report and look into the information. Second option that you have is you can export this report. Okay, you are allowed to export the report into an Excel or a CSV format. Okay, so you will be allowed to export the report into an Excel or CSV format, which means basically you are taking out the information into an Excel or CSV file, and then you can share it with anyone you want. Third option, you can have a printable view from where you can print it, which is simple. Fourth option, you can schedule this report. What is scheduling of report mean? See, basically scheduling of report means that you can define a schedule for this report. This report will run on that defined schedule every day, sorry, on the defined frequency. It can be weekly, monthly, whatever you want. And it will be emailed to the user. So sometimes what happens, let's say there's a report, sales report. Now, the sales manager might want to receive that report on a weekly basis. The sales manager might say that there's a report which I want to receive every Monday. So usually what happens is someone who actually pulls out the report and then he actually emails the report to the sales manager or something like that. But Salesforce gives you the ability to define a receiver and they define a frequency. So if you define the frequency and who should receive the report, Salesforce can automatically generate the report and send it to the person on the defined frequency. Alright. So let me just save this report first. You can click on save from here and it will save the report, or you can click on run report. You click on run report, it will take you to the screen where you have all the options available. If you want to export it, you can do that. You want to check a printable view, you can do that. You want to save it, you can do that. Customize will take you back to the same report with the screen. Show details will start showing the details of the report. Run report, and here you have the option of schedule future runs. This is where you can actually schedule the report. Okay, so just click on schedule future runs. Give the name. Okay, before you can schedule the report, you have to save it. So it's actually saving it right now. Okay, so I just saved the report. Now, after saving the report, it takes you to the schedule, defining schedule of the report. Now it's that simple. You look here, you just have to define the frequency, scheduling frequency, and who should receive the report, recipient. That's it. So you want the report to be sent to you, you should select to me. If you want the report to be sent to you and someone else, then you can select the person. Alright. And frequency also you can define. You want this report to be sent daily, weekly, which weekday you want to send it, Friday and Tuesday, or monthly, right? Now that's it. Just have to define the frequency, and you also have to pick a preferred start time. What is the preferred start time? Preferred start time is what time basically you want the report to be sent. Okay. So why this is not a start time? This is a preferred start time because the actual report time, when it is sent, will depend on the other activities which are going on in your organization. So usually if you say 1 a.m., it might be sent at around 1:15 or let's say 1:05, something like that. Okay, it might get delayed by 5 minutes or something like that. Sometimes even more than that, depending on other activities which are going on in your organization. If there is some other activity which is going on, this will actually wait in the queue and it will get delivered after that time. So this is a preferred start time. It's not the exact time. So usually, in a time of let's 15-20 minutes from this time, the recipient is going to receive the report in his email. Correct? So this is how you can schedule the report. So these are the options that you have with your report. Alright. So we have just talked about how to create a report right from the beginning, how to select an object, field, filters, then how to decide on the format. We have not talked about joint format yet, and we need to talk about that. So don't worry about that. And then we have talked about what we can actually do with the report. We can actually save it for future use, export, print, schedule, whatever you want. Right. So let me know if anyone has any question or doubt here so far. Before I jump into the joint report, just want to quickly check if anyone has a question here. There's one more concept of a bucket field. What is bucket field? Bucket field is basically categorizing my records into separate, defining custom categories of the records. Okay. Now, if you see, if I go back to the account report that we just created, let's go to the reports. The report. Okay, so previous example, I did a summary report based on type, and then I did a matrix with the help of industry, so that's fine. Okay. So these fields are built there, and I can definitely do a summary using these fields, which is a good option. Now, if I want to do a report and I want to summarize the data based on a custom category, okay, the category which already does not exist, but I want to build that custom category. For example, I say that I want to know how many, what is the total revenue for the companies where number of employees is 0 to 5,000. So I want to categorize all the accounts where number of employees is 0 to 5,000. I want to understand how much revenue do I get from them. Then 5 to 20,000, how much revenue I generate from them. And companies with more than 20,000 employees. Now this is not categorized anywhere. These are just data points. no field I have to specify whether this record falls into this category. So basically I am talking about creating my own custom categories, which are accounts where employees are 0 to 5,000 is one category, 5,000 to 20,000. This is something which the company wants in the report, and 20,000, right? At the reporting, at the time of reporting, I'm asked to do a report based on these categories. What will I do? Shall I go and create one more field there in Salesforce? Obviously no, because it's just for the reporting purpose. So these are called buckets. What we have to do, we just have to create 3 buckets and put all the records which meet this criteria into bucket 1, all the records here into bucket 2. So let's say this, I call this small, mid, big. Okay. So what you have to do is you just have to go here and add a bucket field. At the top you have an option of adding a bucket field. So bring a bucket field here. The moment you bring the bucket field, it will ask you that which field you want to use to do the bucketing. I want to use the number of employees. So source column is going to be employees. What is the name that you want to give to the bucket field? I call it size. And then define the range. 0 to 5,000 will be small. Add one more row. 5,000 to 20,000 will be mid. More than 20,000 will be big. Click on OK. See, now your records have been categorized into those custom categories, small, medium, big. Right? Now you can actually do a summary report using this size also. Going to summarize the revenue. Remove the option, remove this. See, so this is the revenue from the small companies where number of employees is 0 to 5,000. From mid companies, this is the revenue, and from large companies, big companies, correct. So this field was actually not there, but I just created. So this bucket field can actually be very helpful when you're creating a report and you do not have that sort of categorization done with some existing field. Then you can actually create a bucket field in the report and use that. Right.